Nobody bid on Lot 47. The alien merchants looked at the ship on the auction screen and turned away like it was diseased. The vessel was ugly beyond description. Its hull was a patchwork of different metals. Some panels were silver, others black, and a few had strange green coloring that came from species nobody could identify. The ship looked like someone had taken pieces from a dozen dead vessels and welded them together in the dark. Danny Reeves raised his hand. The auction hall went quiet. 300 aliens from 50 different species all turned to stare at the human. Danny was average height, with brown hair and tired eyes. He wore simple work clothes covered in grease stains. He looked like what he was, a mechanic who had spent his whole life fixing things other people broke. The human bids 100 credits, the auctioneer announced. His voice carried a tone of disbelief. Laughter spread through the crowd. A Vithrani merchant with shiny insect wings clicked his mandibles in amusement. A group of Gren traders, their gray skin wrinkling with humor, nudged each other and pointed at Danny. "Does the human understand what he is buying?" someone called out. Danny kept his hand raised. "I understand. That ship will kill you before you leave the system," another voice said. This came from Grell, the station administrator. He was tall and thin, with 6 arms and compound eyes that reflected the auction lights. "The engines are Drethian. The navigation is Malvari. The hull is from species that have been dead for centuries. Nothing in that ship was designed to work together." "I know," Danny said simply. The auctioneer waited for other bids. None came. Why would anyone bid on garbage? Sold to the human for 100 credits. Danny paid and received the access codes. As he walked toward the docking bay, Grell followed him. The administrator's long legs covered ground quickly, and he caught up to Danny in the corridor. "I am required to warn you officially," Grell said. "That ship has been sitting in our impound for 11 years. 3 previous owners died trying to fly it. The systems are incompatible. The power fluctuations alone could fry every circuit in your body. I appreciate the warning. You are not listening. That ship is a death trap built from the corpses of other death traps." Danny stopped walking. He looked up at the alien administrator with an expression that Grell could not read. Humans were strange creatures. They had only been part of galactic society for 40 years, and nobody really understood them yet. "I have been looking for this ship for 3 years," Danny said quietly. "I traced its parts across 4 sectors. The Drethian engines came from a research vessel that disappeared near the void boundary. The Malvari navigation array was on a ship that tried to map the uncharted systems. The human frame belonged to a colony transport called the New Dawn." Grell's compound eyes shifted. The New Dawn. That was the ship that tried to establish humanity's first independent settlement. Yes, the Concordat said it was an accident when it exploded. But the frame survived. Someone built this ship around what was left of the New Dawn. And you want it why? For revenge. Danny shook his head. "I was the lead engineer on the New Dawn. I watched everything I helped build get destroyed because the Concordat decided humans were not allowed to have their own colony. They killed 4,000 people and called it an accident. So it is revenge." "No." Danny started walking again. "It is proof. Proof that everything they threw away can still become something. Proof that their way is not the only way." He reached the docking bay and stood before his new ship. Up close, it was even uglier than it looked on the screen. Rust covered the joints between different hull sections. Cables hung loose from open panels. The cockpit window had a crack running through it that someone had filled with gray paste. Beautiful, Danny thought. He climbed inside. The interior was chaos. Control panels from 3 different species lined the walls. Some displays showed alien symbols, others showed human readouts. The pilot seat was too large for a human because it had been designed for a Drethian. Danny would need to modify it. He sat down anyway and placed his hands on the controls. The ship hummed. It was an uneven sound, like a heartbeat that could not find its rhythm. But it was alive. "They threw you away," Danny whispered to the ship. "Just like they threw me away. Just like they threw away everyone who did not fit their perfect system." He began powering up the systems one by one. Warning lights flashed. Error messages appeared in 4 different languages. The ship shook as incompatible systems tried to communicate with each other. Danny smiled. "Let them laugh," he said. "We are going to show them what the discarded can do." Outside, Grell watched the docking bay through a security feed. He saw the lights inside the ship flicker. He saw power readings spike and drop in patterns that should have been impossible. He prepared to call emergency services for when the ship inevitably exploded, but it did not explode. Instead, the patchwork vessel slowly lifted off the deck. Its movements were unsteady, like a newborn animal learning to walk. But it moved. It flew. The ship that should not work carried Danny Reeves out of the docking bay and into the stars. Grell watched until it disappeared from his sensors. Then he made a note in his personal log. The human and his junk ship have left the station. I do not expect to see either again, but I have learned not to predict what humans will do. He was right about one thing. He would see that ship again. Everyone would. 3 weeks after leaving Station 14, Danny Reeves found himself crawling through a space that should not exist. The maintenance tunnel was narrow and dark. His flashlight showed walls made of 3 different metals joined together at odd angles. According to the ship's original blueprints, this tunnel was not supposed to be here. But when you build a ship from the bones of other ships, you create spaces that no single designer intended. Danny loved these spaces. They were mistakes that became possibilities that he reached a junction where the Drethian engine conduits met the Malvari navigation cables. In any normal ship, these systems would be separated by meters of shielding. Here, they ran side by side, almost touching. Engineers would say this was dangerous. Engineers would say the electromagnetic interference would destroy both systems within hours. Engineers would be wrong. Danny had been monitoring these systems for 3 weeks. The interference was there, but something strange was happening. Instead of fighting each other, the systems were learning to work together. The Drethian engines ran cooler when the Malvari navigation computer was active. The navigation computer calculated faster when it could draw on the engine's excess power. The human electrical grid that connected everything acted like a translator between the 2 alien systems. It was not elegant. It was messy and inefficient and against every law of proper engineering. IT also worked better than anything Danny had ever seen. He made his way back to the main cabin and started recording notes. He had been documenting everything since he left the station. If he died out here, he wanted someone to find his research. He wanted them to know what was possible when you stopped following the rules. That a proximity alarm interrupted his work. Danny checked the sensors and saw a small shuttle approaching. It was broadcasting Saurian identification codes, but it was not moving like a military vessel. It drifted toward him slowly, almost nervously. Danny opened a communication channel. "Unknown shuttle, identify yourself." "Please do not shoot me," a young voice replied. "I am Pell. I worked at Station 14. I helped fuel your ship before you left." Danny remembered the dock worker, a young Saurian with bright orange scales and too many questions. He had asked Danny about the ship's hybrid systems while loading fuel cells. "Why are you here, Pell?" "I need to warn you. A Concordat patrol captain has been asking about your ship. His name is High Trader Asen. He wants to know where you got the Malvari navigation array." Danny's stomach tightened. He knew the navigation array had a complicated history. The Malvari did not sell their technology. If a Malvari system ended up in someone else's ship, it meant that system had been stolen. "What did you tell him?" Danny asked. "Nothing. But he will find out eventually. The Concordat tracks everything. They have records of every ship part that has ever been sold or transferred. When they discover you have stolen Malvari technology, they will come for you." Danny thought for a moment. Then he made a decision that surprised him. "Come aboard, Pell. I could use help with repairs." The young Saurian docked his shuttle and climbed into Danny's ship. His orange scales seemed to glow in the dim emergency lighting. He looked around at the chaos of mismatched systems and his eyes went wide. "This should not work," Pell said. "I keep hearing that." "No, you do not understand. I studied engineering before I became a dock worker. These systems are incompatible on a fundamental level. The power frequencies alone should create destructive interference patterns." "Should," Danny agreed. "But they do not. Look at this." He showed Pell his research notes. The young Saurian read through them with growing amazement. His tail twitched the way it did when he was excited. "The human electrical grid is acting as a buffer," Pell said. "It is absorbing the interference and converting it into usable power. That is impossible. Human technology is not as advanced as Drethian or Malvari systems," Danny explained. "It is simpler, more primitive. But that means it is also more flexible. It does not know that it is supposed to fail, so it does not." Pell looked at Danny with new respect. "You planned this. You knew the human systems would make everything work together. I hoped. There is a difference. They spent the next week working together. Pell's engineering knowledge helped Danny understand systems he had only been guessing about. Together, they made modifications that improved the ship's performance even more. The engines ran smoother. The navigation became more accurate. The ship that everyone said would kill its pilot instead became something new. Danny named it the Vagrant. A ship without a home. A ship that did not belong anywhere in the Concordat's perfect order. High Trader Austin will never stop looking for you, Pell said one evening. The Concordat cannot allow a ship like this to exist. You threaten everything they believe in. Good, Danny said. Maybe it is time someone did. He fired up the engines and plotted a course deeper into uncontrolled space. The Vagrant responded smoothly, its hybrid systems singing in frequencies that no standardized ship could match. Behind them, Pell's shuttle remained docked. The young Saurian had made his choice. He would rather fly with the Scrap King than spend his life following rules that did not make sense. Ahead of them, the stars waited. And somewhere in those stars, High Trader Austin was already planning his hunt. The distress signal cut through static like a scream through silence. Danny was running cargo through the shattered corridor when he heard it. The corridor was a shipping lane filled with asteroid debris. Most pilots avoided it because the rocks moved in unpredictable patterns. Sensors could not track them all. Navigation computers could not plot safe paths. The Vagrant did not care about safe paths. Danny followed the distress signal and found chaos. 3 Concordat frigates had cornered a small convoy of independent traders against a dense asteroid cluster. The traders had nowhere to run. Their ships were too slow, too standardized, too predictable. One of the frigates fired. A trader vessel exploded in a ball of orange flame. They are killing them, Pell said from the co-pilot's seat. His scales had turned pale with fear. We should leave before they see us. Danny's hands tightened on the controls. He knew Pell was right. The Vagrant was fast and unpredictable, but it had no weapons. Against 3 Concordat warships, they would die just as quickly as those traders. But Danny had watched the Concordat destroy things before. He had watched them destroy the New Dawn and call it an accident. He had spent 5 years running from that memory. He was tired of running. Hold on, Danny said. He pushed the Vagrant forward at full speed. The ship responded instantly, its hybrid engines giving him acceleration that made the Concordat frigates look like they were standing still. Danny flew directly between the frigates and the trader convoy. Human vessel, you are interfering with Concordat enforcement action, a cold voice announced over the communication channel. Stand down immediately or be destroyed. Danny did not respond. Instead, he turned the Vagrant toward the densest part of the asteroid field and pushed the engines harder. The frigates followed. They were fast ships with powerful weapons and crews trained for combat. But they were also standardized. Every system worked exactly as designed. Every response followed established patterns. Danny flew into the asteroids like a man with nothing to lose. The Vagrant twisted between rocks that should have crushed it. Its Malvari navigation array predicted asteroid movements 3 seconds before they happened. Its Drethian engines gave it the power to dodge at the last moment. Its human hull plating, designed for atmospheric re-entry, absorbed impacts that would have shattered alien metals. The first frigate tried to follow. Its navigation computer calculated a safe path, but by the time it finished calculating, Danny had already changed direction twice. The frigate pilot tried to compensate manually, but manual flying was not something Concordat training covered well. The frigate clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. It crashed into a second rock and went dark. The second frigate tried a different approach. It fired weapons blindly into the asteroid field, hoping to hit Danny through sheer volume. But the Vagrant was never where the weapons expected it to be. Hybrid systems did not move in standard patterns. A large asteroid drifted between the frigate and its target. The frigate fired anyway. The blast shattered the asteroid into 1,000 pieces, and those pieces tore through the frigate's hull like knives through paper. 2 frigates down. One remaining, the last frigate was smarter. It stopped chasing and waited at the edge of the asteroid field. Its captain knew Danny would have to come out eventually. Danny smiled and flew deeper into the rocks. 20 minutes passed. 30. An hour. The frigate captain grew impatient. He ordered his ship forward to flush out the human. It was a mistake. Danny had spent that hour learning the asteroid field's patterns. He knew which rocks moved and when. He knew which paths were safe and which were death traps. He led the frigate into a narrow canyon between two massive asteroids. Then he turned the vagrant around and flew straight at the frigate at maximum speed. The frigate captain panicked. He ordered full reverse, but standardized engines did not reverse quickly. The ship began backing up just as the canyon walls started closing together. Danny flew past the frigate with meters to spare. Behind him, the frigate found itself trapped as the asteroids moved together. It survived, but its engines were damaged and its hull was cracked. Danny emerged from the asteroid field and returned to the trader convoy. 4 ships remained from the original 6. They stared at the vagrant with something like religious awe. "Who are you?" the convoy leader asked. He was an elderly grin named Moth, his gray skin wrinkled with age and worry. "Just a mechanic," Danny said. "A mechanic who just disabled 3 Concordat warships without firing a single shot." Danny shrugged. They were not built to adapt. "I was." Moth offered payment. Danny refused. He did not do this for money. He did it because he could not watch the Concordat destroy anything else. The convoy went its way, and Danny went his. But word spread. Traders told other traders. Smugglers told other smugglers. Within weeks, everyone in the outer systems had heard the story that a human in a junk ship had humiliated the Concordat. In his flagship somewhere in the core systems, High Trader Austin received the battle report. He read it 3 times. Then he watched the sensor recordings from the surviving frigate. The ship on those recordings should not have been able to do what it did. The movements were wrong. The reactions were wrong. Everything about it violated the laws of proper ship design. "Find him," Austin ordered his hunters. "Find him and bring me that ship. I want to know how it works." He paused, watching the recording one more time. "And I want to know how to destroy it." Haven Rock was not on any official map. The station existed inside a hollowed asteroid at the edge of charted space. It was home to smugglers, exiles, and everyone else who refused to bend to Concordat rule. Danny had been coming here for 3 months. Each visit, the welcome grew warmer. He walked through the main corridor and counted the faces that nodded at him. Grin traders who remembered the convoy he saved. Saurian mechanics who wanted to learn how the vagrant worked. Even a few Vithrani who had fled Concordat territory after speaking against the government. They called him the Scrap King. Danny hated the name, but he could not make them stop using it. A scarred human woman waited for him at the end of the corridor. Her name was Ira Cortez, and she ran Haven Rock with a combination of charm and threat that Danny admired. She had gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too much death. "You are late," she said. "I had company. 2 Concordat patrol ships tried to intercept me near the boundary. Tried. Their engines could not keep up in the dust clouds. I lost them after an hour." Ira smiled. It was not a warm smile. "That is the 3rd time this month." Austin is getting closer. They walked together to Ira's office. It was a simple room carved from the asteroid rock, filled with maps and communication equipment. A window looked out into the hollowed interior where ships came and went. "I want to ask you something," Ira said. "Something big." Danny waited. "We have been watching you for months. We have been watching how your ship works. How it does things that should be impossible." She paused. "We want you to build more ships like the Vagrant." Danny had expected this request. He had been thinking about it himself. It is not that simple. The Vagrant works because of specific combinations of technology. You cannot just weld alien parts together and hope for the best. "I know. That is why I want you to teach us. Show us which combinations work. Help us understand the principles. If I do that, the Concordat will come for Haven Rock. They will not just send patrol ships. They will send everything they have." Ira leaned forward. "The Concordat is already coming. They are always coming. That is what they do. They find anyone who threatens their control and they crush them. The only question is whether we fight back or wait to die." Danny looked out the window. Below, Pell was working on a damaged freighter with a team of alien mechanics. The young Saurian had found a home here. He had found purpose. "There is something you should know," Danny said quietly. "The reason I started all this. The reason I built the Vagrant." He told her about the New Dawn, about the colony that humanity tried to establish, about the 4,000 people who died when the Concordat destroyed the ship and called it an accident. "I was supposed to die with them," Danny said. "I was on a repair shuttle when it happened. I watched through a viewport as everyone I knew disappeared in a ball of fire." Ira's expression did not change, but her voice softened. And now you want revenge. No, revenge would mean becoming like them, destroying things because they threaten me. Danny shook his head. I want to prove that they were wrong. I want to show the galaxy that their perfect system is not the only way. That diversity is not weakness. That the things they throw away can become something powerful. Iris studied him for a long moment. Then she stood and extended her hand. Then let us build something together. Danny took her hand. Over the next 2 months, Haven Rock transformed. Danny taught engineers from a dozen species how to identify compatible hybrid systems. He showed them which combinations created strength and which created disaster. Slowly, new ships began to take shape in the station's hidden shipyard. The first completed vessel was ugly. Its hull was patched together from Gren cargo haulers and Saurian scout ships. Its engines came from 3 different sources. Its navigation system was barely functional, but it flew. It flew in ways that Concordat sensors could not predict. Moth, the elderly Gren trader that Danny had saved months ago, volunteered to captain it. I am too old to worry about dying, he said. And I want to see the look on their faces when this garbage ship flies circles around their warships. More ships followed. Each one was unique. Each one was a statement that the Concordat's way was not the only way. Then the spy revealed himself. Danny was in the shipyard when alarms started screaming. He ran to the control center and found Iris staring at a communication screen. Her face was pale. Concordat warships, she said. 12 of them. They just dropped out of faster than light at the edge of the system. How did they find us? One of our traders was feeding them information. We caught him an hour ago, but it was too late. Danny looked at the sensor display. 12 warships against 3 hybrid vessels and a handful of armed freighters. The math was impossible. A voice echoed across all frequencies. Cold. Controlled. Familiar. This is High Trader Austin of the Concordat Enforcement Fleet. You have 1 hour to surrender the human called Danny Reeves and all hybrid vessels in your possession. If you do not comply, we will reduce your station to dust. There will be no second warning. Ira looked at Danny. What do we do? Danny stared at the sensor display. 12 warships. Thousands of weapons. The full weight of the Concordat's power. He smiled. We show them what garbage can do. 47 minutes remained when Danny launched the Vagrant from Haven Rock. Behind him came Moth's patchwork freighter and a third hybrid vessel piloted by a Vethrani exile named Suri. 3 ships against 12 that everyone watching thought it was suicide. Danny opened a channel to his tiny fleet. Listen carefully. We are not going to fight them. We are not going to beat them. We are going to survive long enough to make them look foolish. How? Suri asked. Her voice was steady, but Danny could hear fear beneath the calm. By being everything they are not. Their ships are identical. Their tactics are predictable. Their computers expect enemies to behave in standard patterns. We do not have standard patterns. We are chaos, and chaos cannot be calculated. Austin's voice cut through the channel. You have 37 minutes, human. I suggest you use them to say goodbye. Danny did not respond. Instead, he pushed the Vagrant forward at full speed, directly toward the Concordat fleet. The 12 warships held formation. Their weapons tracked the approaching junk ship. Their targeting computers calculated firing solutions. Everything was proceeding according to standard engagement protocols. Danny flew straight at Austin's flagship until he was within weapons range. Then he turned sharply and accelerated past the fleet at an angle that no standard ship could have managed. The Vagrant's hybrid engines gave it acceleration that broke the rules. Its mismatched hull plating reflected sensor beams in unpredictable ways. The Concordat ships fired. Every shot missed. All ships, scatter. Danny ordered. A Moth's freighter broke left. Suri's vessel broke right. Danny dove beneath the enemy formation. 3 hybrid ships moving in 3 completely different patterns, each one unpredictable, each one impossible to track with standard targeting systems. Austin ordered pursuit. His ships split into groups of 4, chasing each hybrid vessel. It was a logical response. It was also a mistake. Danny had studied Concordat tactics for years. He knew their ships worked best in formation, supporting each other with overlapping sensor coverage and coordinated fire. When they split up, each group became weaker. He led his pursuers into an asteroid cluster at the edge of the system. The 4 warships followed, confident in their superior firepower. They did not understand that firepower meant nothing when you could not hit your target. Danny weaved between rocks that were too small for Concordat sensors to track reliably. He changed direction whenever his navigation array showed him an opportunity. He flew like a man possessed, trusting his ship to do things that should have been impossible. Point 1 warship clipped an asteroid and fell behind with damaged engines. Another tried to cut Danny off and flew directly into a rock it had not detected. 2 remained. Danny turned and flew straight back at them. The warship captains hesitated. No sane pilot flew toward superior enemies. Their moment of confusion gave Danny time to pass between them so closely that their own weapons could not fire without risking each other. He emerged from the asteroid cluster alone. Behind him, 2 damaged warships limped back toward the main fleet. Across the system, Moth and Suri were having similar success. The old Grin trader was laughing over the communication channel as he led his pursuers through a debris field left by an ancient battle. Suri used her Vithrani reflexes to make turns so sharp that Concordat pilots could not follow. Point 6 warships were damaged. 6 remained combat ready. But those 6 were hesitating now. They had expected easy targets. They had found something else entirely. Danny regrouped with his fleet near Haven Rock. The station's few weapons were online, but everyone knew they would not matter if the remaining warships attacked together. Austin's voice came through the channel again. This time, there was anger beneath the cold control. Impressive tricks, human. But tricks will not save you. I have 6 ships remaining. You have 3. Mathematics does not lie. Danny opened a broadcast channel. Not just to Austin. To every ship and station in the sector. You are right, Danny said. Mathematics does not lie. You have 6 ships built the same way, thinking the same way, fighting the same way. We have 3 ships that are each unique. 3 ships that your computers cannot predict. 3 ships built from pieces that you threw away because they did not fit your perfect system. He paused to let his words carry across the sector. We are not soldiers. We are builders. We are mechanics and traders and exiles. You called us garbage. You called our ships impossible. But we are still here. We are still flying. And you cannot stop us because you cannot understand us. Austin ordered his remaining ships forward. They moved in tight formation, weapons ready, determined to end this embarrassment. Danny prepared to run again. He knew they could not win a direct fight, but he had achieved something more important than victory. He had shown the sector that the Concordat could be challenged. Then new contacts appeared on sensors. Ships were arriving from across the sector. Independent freighters, smuggler vessels, trader convoys, dozens of them, then hundreds. They were not military ships. They had no weapons that could threaten Concordat warships. But they were watching, and they were recording. Austin looked at his tactical display. His 6 warships were surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. If he destroyed Haven Rock now, the whole sector would see. The whole sector would know that the Concordat had murdered civilians to silence one human with a junk ship. High Trader, one of his captains said quietly. Our position is compromised. If we attack now, Austin understood. He had lost. Not because Danny had beaten him in battle, but because Danny had beaten him in something more important. Public opinion. All ships, withdraw, Austin ordered. The words tasted like poison. Danny watched the Concordat fleet retreat. Around him, the witnesses began cheering. Ships flashed their lights. Voices filled the communication channels with celebration. Pell's voice came through from Haven Rock. You did it. You actually did it. Danny shook his head. We did not do anything yet. This was just the beginning. He looked at the hundreds of ships that had gathered to watch. Ships from dozens of species. Ships that had been told they did not belong in the Concordat's perfect system. Now, Danny said quietly, we build something that lasts. 1 year changes everything. Danny walked through the shipyard and counted the vessels under construction. 47 hybrid ships in various stages of completion. Workers from 30 different species moved between them, welding and wiring and arguing about the best way to connect incompatible systems. Haven Rock had become Haven Station. The hollowed asteroid had grown. New sections had been added. New docking bays. New living quarters for the thousands who had come seeking a different way of life. Someone had painted words on the main bulkhead. Nothing is junk. Danny smiled every time he saw it. He reached the administrative center where Ira was meeting with representatives from across the Free Trade Alliance. The alliance had formed 6 months ago when independent traders realized they were stronger together. Now it controlled shipping lanes that the Concordat had dominated for centuries. The Concordat envoy has arrived, Ira told him. They want to negotiate. Negotiate what? Recognition, trade agreements, an end to hostilities. She paused. They are sending High Trader Austin as their representative. Danny felt old anger stir in his chest. Then he let it go. Anger had never been the point. The Concordat shuttle docked an hour later. Austin emerged looking older than Danny remembered. The High Trader had been stripped of his military rank after the failed attack on Haven Rock. Now he wore simple, diplomatic robes. They met in a conference room with windows overlooking the shipyard. Austin stared at the hybrid vessels being built below. Impossible, he said quietly. Every one of those ships should have torn itself apart by now. They work because we let them work, Danny replied. We stopped telling them they were supposed to fail. The negotiations lasted 3 days. In the end, the Concordat agreed to recognize the Free Trade Alliance as a legitimate authority. Independent shipping lanes would remain open. Hybrid technology would be permitted outside Concordat space. That IT was not victory. It was coexistence. For now, that was enough. After the final agreement was signed, Austin asked to speak with Danny privately. They walked to an observation deck where they could see stars stretching into infinity. I have a question, Austin said. During the battle, you had a chance to destroy my flagship. Your ship was faster. You could have led us into a trap. Instead, you let us retreat. Yes. What? Danny considered his answer carefully. Because killing you would not have proved anything. You would have died believing you were right. Your system would have continued without you. Another High Trader would have taken your place. And now you have seen that there is another way. You have seen ships that break your rules and still fly. You have seen people that your system rejected build something beautiful together. Danny turned to face him. You are not junk, Austin. You just have not found your purpose yet. Austin stared at him for a long moment. Then something changed in his expression. Not friendship, not agreement, but understanding. You are a strange human, Danny Reeves. I have heard that before. Austin left on his shuttle the next day. Danny watched him go, then returned to the shipyard. There was always more work to do. Pell found him an hour later. The young Saurian had grown in the past year. He captained his own hybrid ship now, a fast courier vessel that he had helped design himself. Message for you, Pell said. A colony on the outer rim. They have an old ship they cannot repair. They heard about you and wanted to know if you could help. Danny read the message. It was simple, direct. A small community that needed help from someone who understood broken things. I am going to go, Danny said. Pell nodded. I thought you might. Want company? No. Stay here. Help Ira keep things running. Danny smiled. You are better at the leadership part than I am. He walked to the docking bay where the Vagrant waited. The ship looked the same as it always had. Ugly. Mismatched. Impossible. Beautiful. Danny climbed aboard and settled into the pilot's seat. The controls felt familiar under his hands. Every scratch and stain told a story. Every jury-rigged system represented a problem solved through stubbornness and hope that he powered up the engines. The ship hummed around him, alive and ready to. Ira's voice came through the communication system. You could stay, you know. You have earned a rest. Rest is for people who are finished, Danny replied. I am not finished. There are still things out there that everyone has given up on. Ships, stations, people. Someone has to show them what they can become. The Scrap King rides again. Danny laughed. I still hate that name. He plotted a course for the outer rim. The Vagrant responded smoothly, its hybrid systems working together in ways that still surprised him after all this time. Take care of yourself, Danny, Iris said. I will. The Vagrant lifted off and accelerated toward the stars. Danny looked back once at Haven Station. The shipyard was full. The docking bays were busy. Thousands of people from dozens of species had found a home among the discarded. They had all been told they did not belong. They had proven everyone wrong. Danny turned his attention forward. Somewhere ahead, there was another broken ship. Another forgotten community. Another opportunity to show the galaxy what garbage could become. They had laughed at his junk ship once. They were not laughing anymore, but Danny Reeves was smiling all the way across the stars.